guess the jump shot is still the most important shot in the game, isn't it?
That's right, Ed. Grade school, high school, college, or pro, you still have to have a good jump shot. And although it looks like some of the players are doing things differently, the basic fundamentals are still the same.
Look at pros like Pete Maravich of the Atlanta Hawks, JoJo White of the Boston Celtics, Lou Hudson of Atlanta. They all have mastered the fundamentals of the jump shot.
Dan, you're a great shooter, but I would imagine a lot of people think that came naturally.
Well, I don't think good shooting ever comes naturally, Ed. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of hard work, and you have to execute the fundamentals.
That's what we want to talk about now, the fundamentals of the jump shot. When the feet are in the proper position, they're spread the width of the hips and the shoulders, because that's the part of your body you have to raise. They should be even. And when the feet are too close together, you're off balance when you start, and you can wind up off balance at the top of your jump. If one foot is too far in front of the other foot, there's no way that you can get as high in the air. So the proper position, the feet should be even, spread the width of your shoulders and your hips, and that will get you up into the air. Watch Lou Hudson of the Atlanta Hawks. He goes up and comes down in relatively the same spot. JoJo White of the Boston Celtics. Notice the feet. He shoots at the top of the jump. Of course, in a game, you can't always set your feet exactly the way you do in practice. When you're closely guarded, you have to be able to get the shot off with good balance.
But Ed, every player should practice correctly and learn the fundamentals first before he tries shooting like these great players. The feet are important, and so are the legs. You must bend your knees so that you can get as high in the air as possible when you jump. Notice the deep bend of JoJo White's legs.
You'll never hit a target unless you can see it. Dan Issel has his head down too long, and that's the wrong way. Here's the right way. Find that basket before you jump. Keep your eyes on the target through the entire shot. Watch the front or the back rim.
Don't let your eyes go up to the ball during the shot. It spoils your concentration and jerks your shoulders back. Keep your eyes on the rim. Here's a great example. Lou Hudson's eyes are concentrated on the rim during the entire shot. The ball goes out of his line of vision, but he watches the target, the rim of the basket. He really concentrates, and it pays off. Watch JoJo White's head. It doesn't move. He lets his teammates rebound. He scores the basket.
There is some disagreement as to the position of the hand on the ball. Consider this. At the end of the shot, the ball comes off the fingertips. However, during the shot, the ball should rest on the fingers and the entire hand. Not in the palm, but on the entire hand, so you have maximum control and softness. The fingers on the ball should be spread evenly. Should not be a strain. They should just be spread evenly. If the thumb is moved too far away from the other fingers, the center of the shot is thrown off balance, and the back of the hand will come off the ball. So the thumb should be spread about the same distance as the other fingers, so it's comfortable. The fingers should not be too close together, because then you don't have control of the ball. But they should be spread comfortably. Don't ever dig your hands into the ball. Don't ever dig and grab the ball with your fingers. Always let your fingers relax softly on the ball. Don't ever grab it. And that's the proper position for the fingers.
Here's Pete Maravich of the Hawks. He has the ball on his entire hand. Good control with a soft shot.
Watch Dan Issel. The ball comes off the fingertips, but starts on the whole hand. Danny, even as a pro, it's hard work, isn't it?
Sure is, Ed.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Well, Dan, feels good to get the load off your feet.
Oh, it sure does, Ed.
Well, I guess there's really nothing more important to a basketball player than his feet.
No, I don't think so, Ed. You know, I play over 100 games a year, many, many practices, and I can't have problems with my feet. And quite frankly, since I've switched to Pro-Keds, I've had no problems at all.
You know, many, many years ago, in the olden days of basketball, when I played, I wore Pro-Keds too.
Did you really? Well, it's a great basketball shoe, and I think that every young player should try a pair on.
I agree with you. Let's go to work again.
Good enough, Ed.
Now we'll talk about the elbow and the wrist. If you can do this, you can be a great jump shooter. That's the proper form for the shot. And don't be afraid to practice just like this. Train your muscles to automatically go to this position by practicing near the basket and shooting hundreds of shots.
The position of the elbow is certainly important to the pros. To get the proper leverage into the shot, you'll notice these players keep that elbow below the ball and in such a position that they merely straighten their arm to start the ball on a direct line to the basket.
The elbow and the wrist are probably the two most important fundamentals in shooting the jump shot. The elbow must be inside the plane of the body. Don't ever let it stick out to the side as you shoot. You'll notice that Dan Issel gets all his power into the shot, but doesn't strain to do it. He's smart. He lets all his muscles work. Dan Issel could draw a straight line through his elbow to the wrist end of the ball. Once again, he has his elbow in the proper position. Now let's look at the wrong way to understand why you probably won't shoot well if you make this mistake. You'll notice the hand sweeps across the basket when the elbow starts outside the body. Why make it difficult? Why make unnecessary adjustments? Here you see Dan Issel correct the mistake very easily. He just rolls the shoulder inward and the elbow comes to the proper position. All he has to do is straighten his arm and the ball should go directly to the basket. His hand doesn't sweep across the basket, but it goes straight to that target. That's where the payoff is.
Notice JoJo White's elbow. It's inside, giving him good control. Lou Hudson gets the ball to the basket easily. He uses his muscles correctly to give a softness to each shot. Pete Maravich shows us how he keeps his elbow inside. You'll notice the hand and arm go directly toward the basket.
One of the most critical areas of the jump shot is the position of the wrist. As Dan Issel shoots, notice that his wrist is cocked as he brings the ball to a position just above the front of his head. This wrist position is vital and really controls the arch and spin of the ball. To describe the position of the wrist, visualize the hand, the forearm, and the upper arm forming the letter U. Notice the wrinkles in the wrist when it's in the right position. In the wrong position, the hand and arm form the letter V, indicating the wrist is not bent properly. There are no wrinkles in the wrist either. When you jump, the ball will be a little higher and a little further back on the head, but this is the proper wrist position. Now let's look at the wrong position. You'll see Dan's hand and arm forming a V. The wrist is not cocked. As a result, when he shoots the ball, he'll have a tendency to throw it at the basket without the proper arch and spin. This causes a hard shot rather than a soft shot. Now notice the wrist is cocked. When you hit a golf ball, you cock your wrist. When you hit a baseball, your wrists are cocked. And when you shoot a basketball, your wrist should be cocked.
Watch Pistol Pete. See that wrist? He gets all his strength into the shot, and still it's soft, and that's what you want. When I practice, I concentrate on having the proper arm and wrist position against a defense. Usually that's when you have a tendency to shoot in a hurry, so you should practice under defensive pressure.
Here's another secret to the jump shot. As you start the shot, keep the wrist cocked until the elbow has started the ball up. Sound familiar? In golf, you let your body start the club, not your hands. The same in hitting a baseball. When you shoot, if you do this correctly, the ball will have the proper arch and the proper spin. Pete Maravich keeps that wrist cocked as he shoots and hits. Notice the position of the ball as Dan Issel shoots. He holds it just above the front of his forehead. When a player moves the ball further back on his head, his wrist usually straightens out. Also, he's unable to push the ball upward, and as a result, he has a tendency to throw the ball rather than shoot it softly. Check this detail carefully because it can lead to many missed shots. Every shot ends with a follow-through. If the follow-through is wrong, you can look to other parts of the shot as the cause of an improper follow-through. Basically, on the follow-through, the hand should go directly to the basket, the wrist should snap, and the arm should be fully extended but not locked.
When you shoot, don't let your hand go to the left. Don't let it go too far to the right. And don't snap your hand back. Let it go naturally to the basket.
Another common mistake is the lack of a follow-through. Notice Dan Issel's wrist doesn't snap to the basket. Also, his arm should be straight on the follow-through, not bent, as you see it here. In essence, the follow-through should be a natural movement toward the basket with an even flow which completes the shot. That's the jump shot. Everything about it? No. We could talk about it for hours, but with these fundamentals, and with the advice of Dan Issel, any player can develop into a fine jump shooter.
Dan, we've seen the fundamentals. Hopefully we've been able to teach the young players what they should do. But really, to be a great ball player, there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Well, there sure is, Ed, and I'd like to tell the young players that have watched this film that unless they're willing to listen to their coaches and try to do what they tell them, and unless they're willing to put in many, many hours of hard work day in and day out, these fundamentals will do them no good at all.
And I think your great career as an All-American at the University of Kentucky and your wonderful career now in professional basketball with the Kentucky Colonels has proven that the hard work is well worth it.
Well, I think so, and thank you very much, Ed.